we've got this tweet. Rep. James Comer believes they've identified the staffers involved in the use of autopen when Biden was clearly in mental decline.
You are going and looking at who was controlling this autopen, because Joe Biden, I mean, he's demonstrating that he doesn't have all the cognitive capabilities they had. That interview was from 2023.
Yeah, that's hard evidence. Early in the President Biden's term as president, it clearly shows that he was in significant mental decline. It questions who was actually making the decisions. So what we found is not just with the pardons he issued, but many of the executive orders that the courts are now using to Trump-proof many of the executive orders that President Trump is trying to implement to make government more efficient. Many of these executive orders, as well as the pardons of Biden's entire family as a result of our investigation, these were all signed with the autopen. And clearly from that interview, which was many, many months prior to the heavy use of the autopen, Joe Biden wasn't capable of making decisions. He wasn't coherent. We think we've identified who the staffers are. Jason, you all have done great work with that over at Heritage Oversight. We're going to bring everyone that we believe was involved in any role in the use of the autopen. We're going to invite them to come in for a transcribed interview. If they want, then they will receive a subpoena and they will have a full-blown deposition. But we want to find out who was actually making the decisions.
So big. If they actually have hearings with subpoenas and bring these people in, it's real simple. You grant them immunity, and they can't plead the fifth.
Right.
And then we figure out who knew what, who was doing what, and how much involvement did Biden have. And this could void executive orders. It could void his pardons.
Well, executive orders were, I think that voiding the pardons is really the important thing, because the executive orders, those were largely all turned over when Trump got into office. They just undid the stuff that Biden did. But it would be good to void pardons and then to investigate the people that he'd pardoned.
Oh, Fauci.
Fauci, people like his
100%
family.
Those child predators, I think, in Pennsylvania.
What was it, like 1,700 pardons or something?
Some astronomical.
You're referring to the Biden family?
Nice. But yes, them too. Remember how many, remember his speeches being so edited?
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't sit and do a whole speech.
Jump cuts?
All the jump cuts. Even his live Oval Office speeches looked pre-recorded and edited.
They were.
And it was
totally.
a fake Oval Office.
They used
saw the fake.
it was the basement, I think.
The fake Oval Office with the, that's where he did the vaccinations. That was also great.
And they had like a fake Oval Office background. Was it because Harris was actually sitting up there?
Right?
I mean, he kept saying.
Did you go to that underneath there where Kaylee was at? Or not Kaylee, I'm sorry.
No, I've never been there. Oh, is that where they did the
That's where they did
new media briefing?
Yeah, that's where they did
I didn't go to that
new
one.
media briefing.
I went to the old media room with all the old media people who were mad at me.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bowling
They had
alley
another
down
one
there.
like that.
Interesting.
But they redid it. They redid it for because that's what it was. It was the fake Oval Office.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's like, why did they do that? It was all theater.
Yeah.
That's why it all felt fake to everybody. It was
Still
all
feels
theater.
fake.
It does.
It still feels fake.
Yep.
How are we where we are with them now saying, we had an exam and just found out that he has a terminal stage 4 cancer that went to his bones. And it's like, that takes like 5 to 10 years. And all I did was a cursory Google search, right? You do a regular Google search and it says, on average, it takes 10 to 20 years to metastasize to the bone. If it's aggressive, it can take 4 or so years. And then Dr. Drew was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years.
They recommend that they stop the prostate exam at 70, right? I heard that they recommend you stop it because of how long it takes to actually develop, and it's like
they do PSA. It's called prostate specific antigens. I think it's called something like that. Tests, PSA tests. But the interesting thing is on MSNBC they had a doctor. His name was it Vin Gupta? I think his name might have been. He said, we have the records for Bush Sr., Obama, Trump, not Biden.
Wow.
For some reason, the records on Biden's exam just are not there. Can't access them.
He turned down the cognitive test.
Yeah.
Yep, because he would have failed it.
Clearly hiding something.
Yeah.
Well, he couldn't be held accountable for keeping classified documents in his basement next to his Corvette because he didn't know what he was doing.
It is, like we've said it a couple of times already, but this is probably the biggest scandal that's ever happened in the White House, because up until this this kind of era, the media would have not taken the side of the president in the way of the administration the way they did. Their ridiculous hatred of Donald Trump and their constant search for access, because that's really what I think the real motivation was, not money, but actually the desire for access to the White House and to people in the administration, whether it be the president or people that would become president or in the bureaucracy. In the future, they were looking to keep those relationships, in the positive light, and so they weren't doing what the media is supposed to do, which is hold the administration to account, even if it's quote unquote your party. It has gotten so bad that the media just could not be relied on to do something as simple as say, "Look, there's a problem here."
I think there was a coup from within. Really, I think they propped up a dead man.
Yeah,
and it reminds me of the business plot. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
This is way before our time, but that's Smedley Butler, FDR. First year, it was 1933. Yep. DuPont, Morgan, all these rich, powerful industrialists were paying for a coup. Smedley Butler being like a decorated Marine. Yep. Fought with Teddy Roosevelt, went to Haiti, went to China, and he was like the whistleblower with, calling that out. This sounds so similar to me. We don't have a whistleblower yet being like, yeah, from the inside, they took him out, and they just took over. That was who was running the autopen the whole time.
Yep.
Well, Smedley Butler, he came out and said, look what they're trying to do. I don't understand why we would assume they failed.
I agree. And the media actually covered up for FDR at the time. They said Smedley sounded insane.
Who owned the media?
Right. All of them.
Yeah.
And then they made a lot of money off World War II. DuPont made all the gunpowder for every war in America. Since dating back to the Revolution, I believe.
Well, and that's the other question is I wonder how many of the media actually believe their lies and their hate. Do they really hate or follow the money?
I think they hate.
Who's funding the people that are promoting the lies? Because these people can't all be really that stupid.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.